Hello, fellow riders. For those of you that are here for the first time, my name is Richie, and this is my channel. I have various motorcycles of various makes. I'm going to show you some of them right now. This is my 2003 BMW R1150 GS. I bought this bike about 1 year ago, this month actually. And when I bought it, it looked nothing like what you're seeing now. It was pretty much neglected. It sat outside for a long time. It was somewhat rusty. It looked old and beat up. And I basically have taken this bike apart and given it a facelift as well. The bike, for those of you who have ridden adventure bikes, these bikes are fun. And you're going to see I have other bikes. But I always tell people, this is a fun bike. It's unexpected fun. When you ride this bike, you kind of fall in love with it. And that is the case with this BMW. Next is my 05 Harley Davidson Softail Deluxe. This bike I bought December 2019. As soon as I bought it, I took it apart. And I've pretty much done everything except engine work to this bike. There's not a part on this bike I haven't touched. I really enjoy this bike. It's more of a around town kind of bike. But it calls a lot of attention. Some people don't like it that much, but those that do really like it. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you this. My wife says it's the nicest bike I have. And she doesn't compliment my bikes. So that's saying something. That's a Picard rear fender. Custom craft. Signal lights. It has a lot of goodies. Dakota digital gauge, 14-inch bars on risers, everything's chrome, as much chrome as possible on this bike. That is the idea. She's a real attention getter. Next is my 1992 Kawasaki ZX-11. I have this bike since 04. I bought it from my brother. I took it apart and I did this to it. It took me about a whole year to do the transformation. It's a dedication to my family members who have served in the military, and it's quite an extensive list. My daughter, right there, served in Iraq. I haven't used this bike in a while. As you can imagine, I have 3 on the road, and this one is kind of semi-retired. Those trophies up there are all from that motorcycle, from the ZX-11. There's 7 awards up there. That is my grandson's motorcycle. Let's see, over there I have a 2001 Ducati ST2, which I'm converting into a cafe racer. I haven't given it much love lately. And over here, you can barely see it, is a 1978 Honda Hawk 400. This one happens to be a Honda Matic. This is my first motorcycle. Mine was not a Honda Matic, but I found this bike a few years ago here in Virginia, and I purchased it. That was my first bike when I started to ride in 1979 and have been doing so ever since. Last but certainly not least is my latest edition, 2009 Electra Glide Classic. I purchased this in the year 2020? Yes, 2020. And I took it completely apart and I turned it into what you see here. Those of you that know this bike, you can probably see everything I've done to it. And those of you that don't know it, I will point out some things. I'll tell you the first thing I did was put a cam in it. And for those of you that know about engines, and especially the twin cam, the rear cam chain tensioner failed after I put the cam in. And I was getting the slapping chain and I could not figure out what the problem was. The run out was 7 thousandths, and I decided after I got that noise to send it in to Brooks Cycles in not too far from here in North Carolina, and they did a engine upgrade. It's did a lot of work. It has a Dark Horse crank, T-man pistons, heads, you name it, it's got it. She's ready to go. And it has performance machine, lower fork legs. It has Olin's inner cartridges. It has Roland Sands wheels. It has the Roland Sands glass see-through covers. It has Olin's reservoir shocks, custom-made seat, fully chrome handlebars and controls, and you name it, it's got it. And it's got the custom dynamics, lights everywhere, front. This is a Arlen Ness ring to match the wheels. The air filter, as well as the gauges, have those dimples in it. It's got a lot of work. The engine is diamond cut by yours truly. I spent 8 hours on that thing. What else can I tell you? Bagger Brothers mirrors. It's got everything on it. And if it doesn't have everything, it has almost everything. It has a lot of stuff on it. I'm really pleased with the bike. I do have 2 tour packs. I have a Razor and I have the stock. Now, I'm not sure if you can see, but that bike has been polished, where that tour pack is how I purchased it. I haven't polished that tour pack, so that's how I purchased the bike. So you can see the difference. So, for those of you who are here for the first time, you can see I have a few bikes. I've been riding since 1979. This channel, Bronx Brothers Motorcycles, is all about motorcycles. Yes, I have 2 Harleys. Yes, I'm into Harleys, but as you can see, I have a BMW, Kawasaki, Ducati, Honda, and I have a few others at a storage. So I am into all types of bikes. I love riding motorcycles and have been doing so since 1979. If you are not yet a subscriber to this channel, I ask you to please consider it if you like motorcycles like I do. In this channel, we talk about all types of motorcycles. We do touring, we go to different events, and I bring it all to you as well as possible. Okay, my people, so This video is all about how I wash my motorcycle. Okay, and the first thing I want to tell you is I have these motorcycles and I feel that I am blessed to have them. And because I've been blessed to have these motorcycles, I feel that it's my job to maintain them and take good care of them. It's also an investment. All of my motorcycles, because they're well taken care of, keep a good value to them. You know, it wasn't too long ago where I sold a vehicle, and the guy that I sold it to, it was a car, but the guy told me, he says, I can tell that you really take care of your vehicles. He says, this car is like pristine. It was a 1999 E320 Mercedes wagon. And that thing, I had it very clear. I didn't buy it like that, but as time went on, if something broke, I fixed it, and things that were broken in the vehicle, I fixed. My point is, I like to take care of my vehicles. I like them to be in tip-top shape. And I like everything to work. So, today's video is about how I wash my motorcycles. There's a few other things that I get into about detailing. We're not going to talk about that today. For example, how to buff the paint, how to ceramic coat the paint. I'm not going to talk about that today. Today we're going to talk about how I wash and clean my motorcycles. The first thing I will tell you is, as you can see, I have a power washer. And it's not the strongest power washer, but for washing a vehicle, you don't want it to be that strong. You don't want to strip the paint off of it, is basically what I'm telling you. So, the first thing I do is cover the air filter on this bike. On the BMW, the Kawasaki, I don't have to do that. But on this bike and both Harleys, I cover the air filters with a plastic bag. And then I rinse it off with the power washer without getting too close. Excuse me. Especially in areas like this. You don't want to get the power washer right there. That has grease in it. You don't want to get into the wheel bearings and extract any of that grease. Okay? The same thing with the brakes. The brakes, and there's a difference because I can wash that brake, but I can come back at it. I don't want to be right there. Okay? Same thing wherever there's seals and O-rings and things. I do these areas from a distance. I don't put the pressure right on it. Okay? I do it more from a distance. The other thing I do, which I failed to say first, is I remove the bags. I take the bags off because I want to be able to get into that wheel well under the fender, get that wheel really good. As you know, motorcyclists are notorious for having a dirty back wheel. This bike does not have that problem. And part of it is because I use that jack. That helps me so much in cleaning this motorcycle. If you don't own one of these jacks and you have a Harley Davidson, you owe it to yourself to get one. These jacks, they help you with oil changes, with changing tires out if you do your own work. I do most of my own work, and I can tell you that I've stripped down my bike and basically wheels off, tank off, everything. The only thing that was left on this bike, as well as the soft tail, was the engine. And on that jack that I just showed you, I've had this bike completely in the air. I don't have to break my back to work on it. So now I've rinsed off the bike, and what's my next step? Well, I own one of these snow foam cannons. That's what this is called. Now, I have this brand, but they have different ones. Chemical Guys makes one. And basically what that does is you take soap specific for a foam cannon and you spray your motorcycle down with soap. So you may ask, why do you want to do that if you just rinsed it off? Because there's still dirt everywhere. Now notice, we haven't touched the motorcycle yet. All we're doing is getting the dust and dirt off. And when you add the snow foam, what that does is it softens up the dirt and it starts breaking down any grease and oils. And that's what you want. The less that you can touch the motorcycle, the better it is for the paint and basically a lot of the parts. They're not going to get the micro scratches, the micro abrasions, the swirl marks. They're not going to get any of that if you can get most of the dirt off. One thing I can tell you is these cameras, as good as they are, they do not pick up the shine and the glitter, the metal flake that this paint has. This bike is impeccable. The paint on it, this is an 09, it's 13 years old, and the paint on this bike is impeccable. Not because I bought it that way, but because I have worked at it, buffed it, ceramic coated it, and I take good care of it. So now that we have snow foamed the whole bike, we rinse that soap off, and now we're going to go to our buckets. We're going to fill both buckets up all the way to the top, as much as possible, within reason. Right there is good. That one all the way up. That's just plain water. This one here is going to be soap. And I have this strainer. I don't know what to call this thing. But what this does is, if there's a little sand, rock, anything that is in the mitt, this is going to catch it. And that just goes in there. And as you know, heavy stuff is going to settle to the bottom and it's going to catch in there and not come back up. So that when I put my mitt in there, the mitt doesn't bring it up and scratch my bike. What are the possibilities of that? Very little. But now it's almost impossible for that to happen. Why this bucket? Some people say that's overkill. Well, I'm going to challenge you all to get your soap bucket with quality soap and wash the vehicle. When you're ready to re-soap the mitt, first rinse it in the clear water. Wring it and then bring it back to the soap. And I want you to notice, let it sit for maybe an hour, okay, till the suds go down. But I want you to notice the color difference of the two waters. This is going to be clear, like fresh clear. And this is going to be dirty. I guarantee it. I've done it dozens of times. Okay? Now, the soap that I use is CarPro. This is a quality product. It's not cheap, but you only use 2 ounces of this stuff. 2 ounces to that gallon. This is nothing. So yes, it costs a lot of money, but it is the best. It's made in Korea. These products, if you're watching this video from somewhere else in the world, I'm sure you can find CarPro in your country because it is an international, I would say, product. It's worldwide. It's not only in the US. Okay? So, now we're going to wash the bike. This is very important. We don't wash like the Karate Kid. We don't do circles. We do lines. You know that starburst effect that you see when a car paint is scratchy? It has those micro abrasions. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that on this bike, on your car, if you use the back and forth, not the swirl. Okay? So that goes for the fairing, back and forth, no swirls. Okay? The glass, back and forth, the fender. I don't have to tell you, you get the drift. Okay? All right, so now, failed to mention, you're not going to be doing this in direct sunlight. You're not going to be doing this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the summertime in direct sunlight. That is a no-no. You have to do it in the shade. And if you are going to do it in the sun, you have to have somebody who's going to rinse as you do one part at a time. Okay? It is not recommended that you do this in the hot sun. Okay? If it's fall and the sun is out, as you know, it's cooler. So yes, you can do it in the sun because it's 45 degrees, 50 degrees. But if it's 85 degrees, 90 degrees out and the sun is blazing, do not wash your vehicle, motorcycle in direct sunlight. That is a big no-no. I'm not sure if you guys can see the metal flake on the paint. So, moving right along, the engine, I use a degreaser. And I'll start sometimes with the engine. You don't have to, but that might be the first thing I do is the engine. And I have a detail brush. And this gets in between here. It gets all those nooks and crannies where a towel will not reach. This is going to reach. You get in there, you get anywhere this brush goes, and you rinse it. You don't want it carrying dirt to the areas that you're cleaning. Okay? That's that. For the top of an engine, and this is just on a Harley, but on different bikes, there might be other areas where you may be able to use this trick. And I learned this recently from somebody on YouTube. And the way they do it is, this is a paint stick. And this goes on top. And it cleans the whole top of the engine. And it does an amazing job. And I could never get the top of the engine clean. My hands would not fit in there. And you know how you do it? Sometimes you push a little piece of towel through there and you try to grab it through the other side and go back and forth. Well, this has solved all my problems. Now the top of the engine is spotless. That's a neat trick I learned on the internet, on YouTube actually. So, the other thing is wheels. I use this wheel cleaner. I watch Apex Car Detail. There's two guys that I watch on YouTube who have taught me pretty much everything I know, and that is Apex Car Detail and Pan the Organizer. Both those guys are highly talented, successful car detailers. They're in the business. They have detail shops and they know what they're talking about. And one thing about them is they review a lot of products. So, and they will tell you when products are being sponsored and where they're just doing a comparison. And I tell you, I watched those guys for nearly a year before I started detailing my cars and motorcycles and putting to use everything that I learned from them. And what a difference. So, Brian from Apex Car Detail, he just did a comparison of this with, wouldn't you know it, Car Pro, which I just talked about, which is the soap I use. Well, he said the Turtle Wax, you know, considering the price, does just as good a job, taking into consideration how much money you're spending. Because this stuff, you put it on liberally. I mean, you just, throw it on there. So, I have a wheel brush, a tire brush, right? And this is going to clean the tire. And then with the microfiber, I'm going to clean the actual wheel. I'm not going to put something abrasive on that wheel. That's a delicate wheel, whether it's chrome or whatever. I'm going to use a microfiber to clean that wheel. And I'm also going to use the detail brush to get between the caliper there and between the disc, and anywhere I can't reach with a towel, I'm going to hit it with the detail brush, which is this. Sometimes you need something a little bit more aggressive. You got this. Sometimes you don't know what you need, and we have that. We have a large variety of brushes, all different sizes, textures. Some are soft, some are hard, different shapes. It depends what you're doing. The same things go with the towels. The towels I buy them in packs. This I buy at Costco. Those are the better ones. This I buy at Home Depot. That I may use for greasy stuff. My son-in-law and my daughter bought me some drying towels. This I bought at Walmart. This is very absorbent. That's a very good one. This whole bucket here, this whole container is towels. So as you can see, it's a hobby for me to detail my vehicles and take good care of them. One other thing I haven't spoke about is ceramic coating. I've put ceramic coating on my vehicles. This little bottle here costs 80 bucks. And it lasts for one car or 2 motorcycles. Maybe 3 motorcycles. This is just for paint. Okay? So, for chrome and for wheels, there's this one. This one's actually for wheels. But as we know, wheels can get very hot. So this is heat proof. And this I put on the chrome. I'll put it on the engine even. So why do you use ceramic coating? Why would anyone put ceramic coating and spend that much money? Well, it's a glass coating is what it is. It's a very thin glass coating. Suscribe, campana, gusta, comenta y comparte. That is what ceramic coating is. It's glass. It was developed for aerospace. My understanding is it was developed for satellites. And what it does is very hydrophobic and it's very repellent, I guess. Very slick, so nothing sticks to it. Obviously, rain, muck, oils, bugs, these things are going to stick to your bike. But it makes it so much easier to clean. And if you get caught in the rain, a lot of times the water just beads right off. It blows off as you're riding. So it's a lot easier to clean your vehicle. So we've washed the vehicle and we've rinsed it. Now it's time for this. Yep, that's a blower. It's not super strong and it's not gas. It's electric. That's what I use to get the majority of water off of the motorcycle. Once I have the majority of the water off of the motorcycle, I then use a towel to dry it. When I'm drying it, it's the same as when I'm washing it. I'm not drying in circles. I don't want that starburst. I dry in strokes. Okay? And after I dry, I apply ceramic quick detailer. This is one of, at this point, I don't even know how many are out there. You can get so many. They have a product called graphene now, which is basically competes with ceramic. This stuff is very good. And what it does is it's very slick. So your bike is going to stay cleaner longer. It's held up over there, but there you can see, okay? It's very slick. Now, once you put that on with the microfiber, you have to come back with something like this. This is made to polish, okay? As you can see, this does not have sewn edges. This is a specialized towel just for this. And what you do is, because when you put that product on there, it's going to leave a haze. And this removes the haze and gives you a nice luster, a nice shine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I wash and polish my bikes. One thing I failed to tell you was, I do put ceramic coating on all of my chrome, but also the headlight. Because most headlights, as we know today, are not glass. So just like on cars, they start to get hazy. Ceramic coating is an excellent product for that. If you buy headlights for your vehicle, hit it with some ceramic coat. One thing I wanted to add was this product here. I use it for the engine. And this product here, made by Harley, is excellent for making the engine brighter, just all around more, I don't even know what to call it. It's an oil-based product and it lasts, I'd say, about a whole year. You spray it on there pretty liberally and wipe up the chrome. You let it sit for a while, then you wipe up the chrome, in other words, the surrounding areas, and that's pretty much it. And it keeps the engine looking good, I'd say, for about 6 months. So I recommend this product. Maybe that gives you an idea of how many different products there are for specific things. I do have duplicates in there. For example, that wheel cleaner, as you saw, I have a turtle wax similar product. It's a wheel cleaner. The other thing is, I wanted to apologize. It is late. It's actually 2:11 in the morning right now. And as I've grown tired, my speech has grown tired as well. And I'm kind of mumbling through some words, I noticed. But that's what it takes to make these videos. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, that you have learned something from it. I want to leave you with this. It was a long time ago, 1993. I started riding in 1979 and have ridden ever since. I've always had a motorcycle. In about 1993-94, I had a 1981 Yamaha Virago 750. And I had stripped one of the screws, not the screw, but the actual case of the engine where the filter went into. So it was leaking oil. I did not know how to put a helicoil. I did not even have that many tools. Long story short, I took my motorcycle to the Yamaha dealer and had them do it. I took it in the morning and I went back that evening to pick it up. And when I went to pick it up, the guy at the register said, "1 second, the mechanic wants to talk to you." The mechanic came out and he says, "Hey, look," he says, "I wanted to tell you," he said, "it has been an absolute pleasure to work on your motorcycle." He says, "I can tell that you take good care of it because it is so clean." He says, "That motorcycle is 12, 13 years old at that point." He says, "and it is spotless." I'll tell you something else. I took that motorcycle apart and I cleaned it. And when I'm telling you I took it apart, I took it apart. I mean, I took everything apart. I took the engine out, threw it over there, and I painted whatever needed to be painted. I detail cleaned everything with a toothbrush and put it all back together. And that's how I take care of my bikes. I know you may think I'm crazy, but I have a family, and a lot of times it's not about going out to ride. It's about just working on the bike. I enjoy that. Anyway, back to the story. The guy said, I love working on motorcycles that are well taken care of. He says, I got into this business because I like bikes. He goes, what I don't like is when they bring me these greasy bikes, these rusty bikes that are not well taken care of. They're just falling apart. He says, I don't work from the heart on bikes like that. He says, your bike, I did. He says, I even went and adjusted your brakes. I adjusted your clutch. I did things that I didn't have to do because I want your bike to be in tip-top shape. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy working on bikes, but more so, I enjoy working on nice bikes that are well taken care of. And that told me a lot. Ever since then, I try to keep the engine compartment of my cars clean. I do that every 6 months. I just put some degreaser on the greasy parts and hose it down with the power washer. Again, not real close. But these are things that I do. And I hope I can pass that on to you to take care of your vehicles in this manner. Again, I hope you learned something. I hope you can put it to use. With spring time right now being in full effect, it's time to get that motorcycle out of your garage, give it a good cleaning, a good polish, and go for a nice ride and feel like the day when you bought that bike. You know what you felt like. And that's what shining them up and cleaning them is all about. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. You guys take care. Be careful with the crazy people on the roads. And I will catch you on the next one. Adios.